There's a quiet line in your life. You can't see it, but you feel it every day. It's not your goals. It's not your dreams. It's your standard, the level at which you consistently live, decide, and act. Everything you tolerate, everything you settle for, everything you allow, all of it exists beneath that line. And until you raise it, your life will keep repeating the same patterns. Have you ever wondered why you keep falling back into the same habits? Why you get close to success but can't seem to hold on to it? It's not bad luck. It's not lack of talent. It's your standard pulling you back to what feels normal. Because no matter how much you want to grow, you will always return to the level you believe is acceptable for you. It's easy to write down goals. It's easy to say you want change, but goals mean nothing. If your standard stays the same, you don't get what you dream about. You get what you demand from yourself. Real change doesn't happen when you wish for it. It happens when you no longer accept the excuses that once ran your life. Look around. Two people can have the same tools, face the same challenges, and start in the same place, but only one rises. Why? Because they've raised their standard. They've drawn a line in the sand and said, "This is the new me." Not just once, but every single day. They do what others won't. They show up when it's hard. They don't settle when it's tempting to quit. The truth is, your real standard shows itself when no one is watching, when it's uncomfortable, when it's not convenient. That's when the line gets tested, and that's when growth begins. But here's the good news. Your standard isn't permanent. It's not locked into your DNA. You can raise it today. Right now, you can decide that the old version of you is done, that who you were yesterday doesn't get to control who you'll be tomorrow. Because when you raise your standard, everything begins to shift. Your actions, your mindset, your energy, your results. You no longer need to try harder. You just live at a higher level where old excuses don't even make sense anymore. That's the power of changing what you accept. Before we continue, if this message is hitting something deep inside you, hit the like button, subscribe for more powerful guidance, and drop the word elevate in the comments if you're ready to raise your standard and change your life. Think of your standard like a thermostat. It sets the temperature for your life. Even if you experience a temporary high, a big win, a moment of inspiration, a burst of motivation, if your internal setting hasn't changed, you'll always drop back down to what feels normal. That's why so many people get ahead only to fall back. It's not a failure of skill. It's a failure to raise the bar inside. Ever wonder why some people win the lottery and end up broke? Or why others get in shape only to gain it all back? Or why someone builds a successful business but can't maintain it? It's because they achieved something bigger than their standard could support. The external success didn't match their internal identity, so they slid right back to the level they were used to. You can't live above your standard for long. You can stretch for a while, but eventually you'll return to what feels familiar. That's why short-term motivation isn't enough. What you need is an internal shift, a change in how you see yourself, because when your identity rises, your behavior naturally follows. Raising your standard isn't about impressing others. It's not about doing more for applause. It's about doing more for yourself. It's about refusing to keep living with habits, thoughts, and patterns that keep you stuck. It's about saying, that version of me, the one who gave up, made excuses, lived small, that version is over. Most people try to raise the ceiling of their life. They want to see how high they can go. But they forget the more important question, how low are you willing to sink? Because life isn't defined by your highs, it's defined by your baseline. If your average is chaos, laziness, and inconsistency, you'll always fall back to that level, no matter how high you aim. But when your baseline becomes excellence, when your normal is high performance, when you expect more from yourself, consistently, your results begin to shift permanently. People will start asking, how do you stay so focused, so consistent, so strong? And your answer will be simple. It's just who I am now. It starts with one powerful moment, a moment of truth, a moment where you stop, take a breath, and look at your life honestly. No judgment, no guilt, just the facts. You ask yourself, is this who I want to be? Are these the results I'm willing to live with? Most people never pause to ask that question. They stay on autopilot, repeating the same patterns, avoiding the mirror. But the truth, your truth, holds the key to your next level. When you see the gap between who you are and who you're meant to be, that discomfort you feel isn't something to run from. It's your invitation. That tension you feel, that's your soul pushing you forward. It's your higher self saying, you were not made to settle. And that's when the shift begins. Not when you talk about it, not when you read about it, but when you decide, really decide, that the old standard is no longer acceptable, that you won't tolerate inconsistency, that mediocrity is not your home, that who you were yesterday isn't going to dictate who you are today. And once you decide, you move. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because the moment you act on that decision, you start rewiring your brain. You prove to yourself that you mean business. You give your mind evidence that something is different this time. Talking about change is easy, but your brain won't believe it until your behavior confirms it. You can say you've raised your standard, but until you show it, your old identity will try to pull you back. That's why you must take action immediately. Do something bold. Do something the old version of you would have avoided. Follow through when it's tough. Show yourself what you're capable of. Every time you do that, you strengthen your new identity. You tell your nervous system, this is who we are now. You give your subconscious a new script, and over time, that script becomes your new normal. Raising your standard isn't just a motivational idea. It's a daily commitment, a battle between your old self and your new self. But the more you win those battles, the more you follow through, the more you hold the line, the stronger you become. And soon that strength won't be something you have to force. It'll just be who you are. Raising your standard is powerful, but without a support system, it can easily collapse under pressure. That's where most people slip. They make a strong decision. They feel fired up. But then life hits. Distractions show up. Old habits creep back in. And without structure, their new standard breaks like a stick in the wind. Because here's the truth. Your standard is only as strong as the structure behind it. You can't rely on motivation alone. You need systems. You need routines. You need an environment that supports who you've decided to become. If you say you want to be consistent, but your days are unplanned, your time unprotected, and your space full of distractions, guess what? The old version of you will win every time. You must build around your new identity. That means clearing out the clutter that feeds the old you, whether it's physical junk, negative influences, or time-wasting habits. Design your day with purpose. Surround yourself with reminders of who you are now, not who you were. And that includes your circle, because your standard will rise or fall to match the energy of the people around you. If you spend your time with those who complain, cut corners, or settle for less, you'll feel tempted to lower your bar to blend in. But if your circle is filled with people who challenge you, support your growth, and hold you accountable, your standard will hold strong even in hard seasons. And if you don't have that kind of circle yet, become it. Be your own coach, your own motivator, your own challenger. Lead yourself with intention until the right people begin to show up. Because when you raise your standard, your circle will start to shift. Some people will rise with you. Others will fall away. And that's okay. Growth is not just about adding. It's also about letting go. You'll feel resistance. You'll hear that voice in your head whispering doubts. Who do you think you are? You've never done this before. You're not ready. But don't mistake that voice for truth. It's not your future speaking. It's your old standard trying to survive. And you silence that voice, not by fighting it, but by acting anyway. Every time you show up, every time you honor your new standard despite the doubt, you weaken that old voice. You rewire your belief system. You become the person you once thought you had to fake. Something powerful happens when you live by a higher standard. It begins to affect every area of your life, not just your habits, not just your routines, but your identity, your self-respect, your influence, and even your environment. You stop settling for excuses, for mediocrity, for people who don't match your energy. You start honoring your time. You protect your focus. You begin to see distractions for what they are, detours from your purpose. Your life becomes cleaner, clearer, more intentional, and most of all, real. When your standard rises, you don't need to shout about it. Your life speaks for itself. People begin to notice. They feel your energy. They watch how you move, how you think, how you stay consistent when others fall off. And without trying to impress anyone, you naturally lead, not with words, but with presence. That's the true reward, not just the external success, but the internal shift, the deep, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you're living in alignment with your best self. You trust yourself more, you follow through more. And because of that, you stop needing outside validation. Your life becomes the proof. But none of this happens by accident. It happens through daily decisions, small choices that either reinforce your new standard or return you to the old one. And yes, you'll be tested. Life will push back. You'll have bad days, doubts, even moments of weakness. But high standards aren't about perfection. They're about consistency. They're about getting back up quickly. They're about refusing to negotiate with your past. So check yourself daily. Ask, does this action reflect my new standard? Am I slipping back into comfort, or am I leading myself forward even when it's tough? And if you fall off track, and you will, don't spiral, don't retreat. Just reset. Reinforce the line. Recommit. Because every time you honor your new identity, it becomes more real. And over time, what once felt hard becomes effortless. What once felt impossible becomes your baseline. That's the power of repetition. That's how new standards become who you are. And here's the truth most people avoid. Success isn't about knowing more. It's about expecting more from yourself. Because when you expect more, you find a way. You become resourceful. You stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating one. And when you stop settling, the world around you starts rising to meet the new you. So don't just raise your goals. Raise your standard, and let that standard shape the rest of your life.